Professor Raman Patel, all those who have come to the TPO meet of GTU, and all the other members of the GTU community. Today, on 3rd of December, we are meeting to see that our training and placement officers are able to provide the best of service to our young persons who are going to graduate in 2012. GTU has been doing many things. I do not want to enumerate all of them, but a few things that we have done relate directly to this particular work, where that we established 25 GTU Innovation Sankuls, and we asked that every college, engineering college, polytechnic, pharmacy college, or a business studies college should establish an Udisha club. As you know, the Udisha club has many functions, but one of the functions is also to develop a contact with the industries and to help in placements. Besides this, now that our students have started doing the project, we are segmenting the information which is available to us, and we are trying to create now special councils which are called sectoral innovation councils. These councils will try to connect our students who are doing the project with their teachers as well as with the industry mentors. For example, let's take the automobile engineering. We have about 200 projects from automobile engineering, and they belong to 5 different colleges. We'll try to bring together all these students with the teachers from these colleges, along with some engineers from Nano and from other companies, and probably a scientist or engineer from the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. The objective will be that this particular group of people should be able to ask questions. For example, if a student has a problem, he may ask a question, and then anyone from this group may respond. For example, if it is a student of Windows, the teacher who may respond may be from A.D. Patel College, or it may be an engineer from Nano, or it may be some scientist or engineer from any of the 39 labs of CSIR. The Director General of CSIR, Dr. Brahmachari, has promised that he will provide at least one mentor for each one of our sectoral councils. The objective is that our students should be able to do projects very well. Let me point out that the project report always forms an important part of a student's interview material. Whenever a student goes for his first job, it is not only his certificates, but it is also his projects that he has done which carry a value. That's why we are particular that this project must be done very well. Today, we are going to talk about placements. That's why I have talked only about those aspects which relate to your placements. In January, we are also going to introduce a compulsory subject to all final year students. And this particular compulsory subject will relate to talking about what kind of resume you should have. It will talk about how you should participate in group discussions, how you should appear in an interview. So what are the basic things that you have to learn? But more importantly, this particular subject is going to talk about the kind of attitude required. If we do not have the right attitude, we are not going to get a job in a good company. Because good companies not only look at your certificates, they not only look at your project reports, they first of all want to find out what your attitude is to work. How is it that you are going to work in a team and in the particular industry. So these are also issues of great interest to companies, and therefore we are going to talk about all these things in this new subject which we are introducing from January. And I will ask all the students to look at this particular subject as a very important subject, because it's going to help them serve the country, serve the industries in a better way. Now, having talked about these various initiatives, now we are going to talk about the meet of today, the Training and Placement Officers meeting of today. I am not talking about the various other things that we are doing in the syllabi, what we are doing for training the faculty and all that. But the important thing that I want to say is that today's meeting is a platform for HR personnel from various industries and training and placement officers to interact and share ideas. Of course, every TPO may have met or may be planning to meet the HR officers of various companies. They must be meeting each other in case they have already done some placements. But basically the objective here is that we should learn from the horse's mouth, from the HR officers, to tell us about what is it that they are looking for from our students. And this particular discussion will take place not in an environment where they are trying to interview our students, but an environment where we are trying to understand each other. The TPOs have to understand the changes which are taking place in the marketplace, as the HR officers have to understand the kind of changes which are occurring in the colleges. We have to, all the training and placement officers have to share the best practices and whatever innovative tools we are using to serve our student community. We have to prepare a workable plan which can be rapidly put into practice to strengthen the training and placement work at all the colleges, and we have to understand what exactly the integrated training and placement cell at the university will do. So that is what the objective is, and we are expecting that it will not only be the senior HR professionals and the training and placement officers who are attending today. We have also invited the Udisha club coordinators, because wherever a training and placement officer is not there, probably the Udisha club coordinator will have to do the job. Wherever the training and placement officer and the Udisha club coordinator are two distinct personalities, they will have to probably work together to help. We are also having today with us some training consultants and company representatives who have the job of assisting colleges in training and placement work. They are professionals in this particular area, and it may be possible for us to learn something from them. The objective of today's meet is also to stress upon the colleges that training and placement is a very important part of their job, and therefore they should strengthen the office of the TPO at every college. They should provide this particular office with appropriate infrastructure, because if appropriate infrastructure is not there, obviously the TPO cannot afford to HR officers to his. The question is, what is it that GTU expects a TPO to do? Well, of course, we want the TPO to do his job very well. That's what we want. Of course, the job, as you know, is a very onerous one. It's not really an easy job for a TPO. A TPO has to do, first of all, an assessment. He has to find out what is the strength of the student and what is his weakness. He has to find out and try to make the student also understand his own strengths and tell him what his weaknesses are so that he can take care of them. He has to also organize workshops or training sessions so that a student will understand how to write his resume, how to material for interview, and go ahead successfully do the interviews. Regarding the resume, in fact, what I want is for every branch, even in the first year, some kind of ideal resume must be shown. The student must understand what is it that he is expected to have after 4 years. At the 4th year, you suddenly cannot create things which you have not done during the previous 3 or 3.5 years. What we want is that every student should understand that he is not only required to have an excellent academic if a good company is to pick him up. He is also supposed to do various projects during the 4 years. Not only the final year project, but during the other years, whatever work he is doing, he has got to properly maintain his files, he has to maintain the documentation so that it forms a part of his interview material. He should also go through some trainings in the industry and have certificates about that. Secondly, some of the students who are good should try to maintain their own blogs. The point is, there are tens of ways in which you can prepare your interview material, and all of these things must be shown to a student who just joins us in first year, so that he will have some idea. Naturally, our first year students will not know what kind of material is required and how competitive the market is. If we tell all these things right at the final year, it may be that many of the students will be disappointed because they would not have done anything of that kind during 3.5 years. So it is important that we not only deal with the final year students, we start dealing with students in other years also, so that they understand what is required. We also have to have interventions so that we can enhance the employability skills. These interventions can be for improving their English or communication skills, for improving their group discussion skills, and for informing them how they should prepare themselves for a personal interview. These things can be done at workshops during the year, or they can be done at workshops in the summer vacation. But these are things which have got to be discussed. I would like to say only one thing. What is required is communication. What is required is speaking with confidence. It is not required that every student should have perfect English grammar. In fact, most of the Englishmen and Americans do not know grammar. So their English is likely to be not so correct as is the English of Indians, because we first learn grammar and then probably we learn the other things. If you are not good at grammar, it doesn't matter. You should speak, and speak with confidence. As long as you can communicate well, it does not matter whether you know the grammar perfectly well or not. So it is very important to tell our students that they have to do communication, they have to speak with confidence, they have to learn to articulate their ideas and state them properly. We can also have mock interviews and mock written tests of the kind that the companies usually conduct. So these things can help the students learn. Now this kind of value addition workshops can be done at the college, at the Sankul level. They could also be done during the summer at the university level. But these are all the jobs which our training and placement officers have got to do. As I said, we have to see that the students prepare good interview material and they are ready for interviews. For that, we can have pre-placement workshops. In fact, at some of the small private universities in the south, they have started a practice of having a final year subject which is actually not a new subject, but which only talks about the kind of questions which are asked by interviewers for the people who come to for placements. Now, what they do is they have all these questions put on the computer, and the student is supposed to do 4 hours in a week, a practice sitting before the computer, and then he has to answer those questions on his own. So they kind of force this kind of practice on every student in every subject. But for that purpose, you see, students have to work hard to prepare this kind of questionnaires for themselves. In fact, in old colleges, what is done is, when the interviews take place, students come back and write on the computer or on their blog the kind of questions they have faced, and this way they can help each other. But ultimately, you have to prepare a set of appropriate questionnaires for each branch and make them available to the students. These are jobs, you see, which are done by the students themselves usually. In fact, if you will go to an IIM, you will find that it is not a training and placement officer who manages the placements. It is the pre-final year students who manage the placements. So ultimately, we have to create in every college a placement committee consisting of pre-final year students, and it is these students who should manage the placements of the final year students. If we are able to create this kind of environment where the pre-final year students every time help the final year students, we would have developed a good environment. So that is the kind of thing that we should try to do. Now, the job of the training and placement officer is also the industry outreach. He has to contact companies, bring them to his college, and year after year he has to go on expanding the reach, to go on expanding the number of companies which reach the college. In addition, after a company has conducted the interviews, he has to take the feedback from them so that we can learn from there. This particular feedback should be sent to the heads of departments. He should share it with the heads of departments so that if we learn something, if we learn about our weaknesses, we can learn from that and we can improve. The training and placement officer can also interact with our expert committees which create the syllabi if he finds that there are some things which are missing in our syllabi, or if he finds some things which are of no use in our syllabi. But anyway, whatever feedback is obtained must be used. Besides that, the other job is to collect the data, the student data, for example. Now, this particular data is very important because we have to use this data to attract the companies. When the companies come, we have to supply them this particular data. And after our placements are over, then this particular data may still be useful. I'll explain how it can be useful afterwards. If there are colleges which are able to have 100% placements, then there may still be some companies which may be wanting some more students. And if there are companies which are wanting some more students and we have done 100% placement, then we can transfer that to our neighboring colleges. We can say, well, can you please send the data of your neighboring college from your student list so that those students can come and satisfy the requirements of any additional companies which might have come to the college. So the data can be useful in that way. Now, it is therefore essential that we should try to harmonize our databases. We should have a common data format, and all the colleges and the university may maintain the student data in the same format so that it is easy for us to transfer the data from one college to the other. So this data can be useful in pulling students from other colleges where we have exhausted our entire list. It can also be useful if we are not able to place all our students. Let's say we have placed 50% of our students. The remaining 50% are left out. And someone comes to the university and says, well, I require 100 engineers of this particular branch. Then the university should know who are the students who are left out, who have not yet been placed, and the university could give that particular data to these companies. This will ensure that these companies will be able to use our students. So it is both ways useful. The data is useful both for the cases where a college is able to have 100% placement, and also to the college where 100% placement is not possible. The university is also going to work to raise the value of our placements. You see, our placements must go on becoming progressively better. Today, the placement is at the rate of about 3 lakh to 6 lakh per year for a student. Now, if we have to go beyond that, then we'll have to make efforts to bring good companies here. We'll have to try to bring multinational companies or other good companies which are very good paymasters, and we'll have to bring them to the university. The university will therefore work with all the colleges to ensure that those companies which are not coming to these colleges are also able to come and then offer jobs to our students. For that purpose, we will have to create again a database of the companies. So we have to create a database of the students, we have to create a database of the companies, and secondly, we have to see that these databases are updated continuously. For example, if a student has been offered a job and he has accepted it, that must be reflected in the database at the university as it should be reflected at the database in the college. So, this is of course a common thing. Whenever you maintain a database, it's very important that the database is not allowed to be outdated. It must be maintained in an active form. Lastly, another important job for a TPO is to keep a contact with the alumni, because year after year, as our students go out, we would like to know where they are, what they are doing. The university will like to help all the alumni. Let's say an alumni is working in a company and he finds that because he did not learn something, so he is not able to make a progress. We will like to help him. We will like to design a special course for him so that he can learn and go ahead. This kind of help, in fact, is helping ourselves also, because if, for example, 10 students of mechanical engineering were to come to us and say, well, we did not learn these 5 things, that's why we are suffering, then we will improve our syllabus to include those 5 things, because we have learned from those who are right on the field. So, keeping a contact with the alumni is helpful, because on the one hand, we are interested in ensuring that even though they might have got the first job, we want that they should go on progressing and progressing fast. And secondly, this kind of feedback from our alumni is truly a first-rate feedback, because they are the persons on the ground, and they are the persons who know how well we have served them through our teaching, or well, where it is that we have left out some gaps. So, therefore, these are things that we have to know. The process of assessment which I talked about earlier has got to be an involved process. Usually, the assessment is simple assessment through interview, but it is also an assessment through psychometric tests many times. So, we have to do the assessment as well as possible. In fact, there are some commercial companies who also do this kind of assessments, but if we cannot afford them, at least we have to try to build an assessment system ourselves which is as good as we can make it. The assessment usually consists of assessment of the aptitude of the young man or woman, assessment of behavior, assessment of communication. So, besides of course the issue of assessment of the technical competence is there. I am not talking about the technical competence today, though it is the most important thing for us. All through the year, the university works to see that technical competence is progressively improved, and of course our examination system is designed to test the technical competence of our young persons. But besides that, we also require that our students be assessed on their aptitude, on their behavior, and on their communication skills. So these are all the kind of jobs which we are trying to do with our students. Today we want to take the feedback from all the training and placement officers regarding what is it that is required to be done to improve their working. We want every training and placement officer to be empowered. We want that each one of them should be able to offer the best of service. We want that the colleges should understand the importance of a TPO. We want that every college should offer sufficient infrastructural facilities so that the TPO can do well. And let me assure you, the university is very keenly interested that every TPO is able to do his or her job well. And therefore, the university is going to stand behind you, it is going to work with you, it is going to assist you and see that you are able to do as good a job as possible. Thank you.